Good evening, viewers. How is everybody doing tonight? I see Retro is already in the chat. How are you? Fuck you, phone. Ah. Your B-Day is tomorrow. No, it's not. Oh, wow, it is. Shit. What happened to time? I thought you told me yesterday that it was Friday. And... And I was like, oh, okay, so in like 5 days. And so that's where in my head I was like, oh, okay. Because somehow apparently yesterday was Monday to me? Because that's how time works? It's a mortal construct. You'll have to forgive me for not paying attention to it. Hi, Cryos. Welcome to the stream. How are you? Ugh. I've had a day. I went to the grocery store today. Which, as y'all know, is basically like the definition of misery for me. Every day is Monday when it's 2021. That is 100% accurate. Yes. That is exactly how that goes. I don't make the rules. I just suffer under them. Play some Prey. I've been wanting to replay it for a while now. What the fuck is Prey? That name sounds familiar, but I don't know. I was about to say, is it like Catholic Choir Boy Simulator? But then I realized that if I said that and I kept talking past that point, that entire joke was going to go in a really dark direction really quickly. So, mimic aliens on a spaceship. So you're playing Among Us, is what you're saying. I hate you. Hi, and welcome to the stream. How are you doing tonight? Make it stop. There is no getting off this train. It only goes one direction, and that's to hell. That's good. I'm glad you're doing well. Oh, I don't blame you, Retro. It's funny to me how quickly that game went from nobody has ever heard of it, even though it's 5 years old, to everyone knows it, to it's become a cringeworthy meme. Like, it went from the beginning of that whole spectrum to the end of that spectrum in what feels like under 6 months. But considering it's 2021, realistically that time frame was probably actually 2.5 years. So I'm not gonna be like for sure it was fast, but it feels like it happened really quickly. Yeah, usually like that meme cycle takes a while. Not like a crazy long time, but usually like a couple of years. Like how long did it take for Fortnite to become a meme? I want to say, like, at least a year. At least. Is that prisoner? Do we have a name for prisoner now? Cryos. Cryos. I'm excited. Oh, I should probably like actually get my headset. And since 12-year-olds started playing it. That seems to be like the general rule of thumb is as soon as kids under the age of like 16 start playing it, whatever it is immediately becomes a meme that instantly becomes cringeworthy. That's why we keep Gently around, just so he can be like our what's the word I'm looking for? He is our like defining factor as to whether something is too cringe to enjoy it anymore. As soon as Gently is like, "Oh yeah, I tried this thing out," we instantly know, "Yup, it is officially cringe." We are officially moving on from that. Like a canary in a coal mine. That's such an apt metaphor. Holy shit. like especially because a canary in a coal mine kills itself in order to do its job. So it's an especially good metaphor for that. Whew. Whew. I forgot just how loud this game is. Whew. It's not even loud for you guys. It should be up in a second. There it is. Yeah. It's not even that loud for you guys because I have the desktop audio set really low. And but then I was like, I don't want to fuck with desktop audio because I hate doing it. So I didn't want to adjust the in settings thing to reduce the sound. But now the problem is that like I have to keep my volume at like 2% of maximum so it doesn't blow my eardrums out. And it's probably entirely my own fault. I feel like I have my equalizer right now set to 30x volume. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure that's where I have it set. It might only be 20x. Because everything is always really quiet for me on almost everything. So yeah. Anyway, let's continue. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Oh, that just takes a minute to load. That's interesting. Good luck, Retro. Don't die. I had not asked, but there seem to be many varieties of tree. Is the wood different from each? Yes. Not all wood suits all uses. I'm sorry, what? Oak is hard, but good for building. Pine is softer and suits charcoal making. And you? I showed Urabel some of the differences in leaves and twigs as we walked. Though plant life was not his domain, he listened with fascination. Wait. What? I thought plant life was, like, his domain. Didn't we, like... Wasn't that straight up, like, what the whole, like, misconception that opens the game is, like, is about? The quiet of the mountain, the growing rumble of the falls, and my quiet chatter with Urbel occupied my thoughts. And so neither I nor the three strange men camping by the waterfall noticed each other until Urbel and I walked into the clearing. What the? Yrsa, what? Get back. The rough-looking men had jumped to their feet as I pulled Urbel behind me. I'll adjust my mic real quick. There you go. Hopefully this is a slightly better position. Their camp was haphazard, with bones and rubbish scattered carelessly about. A strong smell of something rotting hit my nose. But more pressing were the long knives in their hands. I could reach the axe on my back quickly, but making a movement now would threaten them. And Urbel was behind me, looking alarmed. I needed to be careful. Strange time for a walk with Gramps, girlie. We mean no harm. We will leave now. That's right, Scram, if you know what's good for. Shut your mouth, you two ain't going nowhere. The other two fell silent. The one in the lead did not take his glare off us. Your head's as empty as your sacks. We ain't getting paid if we're seen again. You know what that means. But what's it matter if the place is getting... Shut up. What? Spread out and get 'em. Slice their throats so they don't make a fuss. A little hesitantly, the other two began circling towards our left and right. The leader kept an eye on us, seemingly undecided about how to attack. I had more range with my axe, but it was 3 against 1. I did not think Urbel could fight. I should tell him to run. Please, hold on for a moment. Before I could stop him, Urbel stepped out in front of me firmly. Urbel, get back. This does not seem necessary. None of us truly want to harm each other. We only wish to see the falls. They are a beautiful sight, aren't they? And inexplicably, the two bandits circling us stopped, looking confused. Yeah, they're neat. What the hell do you think you're... The flow of water energy, what was he? Water soothes, mends and connects all living beings because we are aware of our connections. Conflict can be calmed. We are different, but we are all alive. You still care for each other as we do. If we can share the gift of life and of seeing this sight, then we can understand each other. So there's no reason to fight. I would be happy to listen to you if you wish to talk. Nothing he was saying could have been persuasive to rough men like these, but the two men to the side were lowering their knives and backing away. Boss, let's just get out of here. You jackasses, get yourselves back. I ain't here to stab a girl and an old man, boss. He looks like my dad. They can do whatever they like. I just needed coin. The leader looked about him wildly, disbelief at losing control over his men clear on his face. I probably looked just as astonished, but now that Urbel's soothing or whatever it was had bought us a little breathing room. Urbel, if they're leaving, let's go then. Well, all right, then please excuse us. The two men nodded back at him, but the leader suddenly had a knife in his hand. This is all you're doing. You old bastard, you're a goddamn witch. Suddenly the handle of my axe was in my hand. The bandit raised his arm to cut. Ugh! My swing was true. An arm, and a knife landed with a dull thud among the rocks by the falls. Boss! Yrsa? If you hurt him at all, the next cut will be your neck. The fallen bandit was scrambling back for me, howling in pain. Goal! I slowly became aware of Urbel standing beside me, his expression horrified but seemingly unharmed. The white-hot rage pounding in my ears subsided slowly at that. I drew a breath and lowered my axe. Leave. I pulled Urabel back. After a frozen moment, the other two bandits grabbed their leader and ran, hauling him away in the opposite direction of the village. Only their abandoned rubbish, pools of blood across the stones, and the arm remained. You're not hurt? I am not, but... The tone of Urabel's voice finally pulled me out of my focus on inspecting him for injuries. Yrsa, you... How could you do that so easily? There was an expression I did not ever recall seeing on his face, but it was sickeningly familiar. The fire in my chest burned suddenly cold. He was attacking you. But that is not... He could not have hurt me. The others listened. I felt that they did not wish to fight. Even if I couldn't convince him immediately, there must have been a way to understand him. But now I cannot heal him or reach him. I am a healer. My role is to help and to mend. But the hurt you caused here, I cannot. Have you not always cared for others? You've always been kind. How could you just... How could you just... You're a beast. Let's just lean this one. Let's lean into this. He tried to kill you. I can't. I won't let that happen. Yrsa? He could not have done so. I can repair myself. It should not have come to this. This is what humans are like. Humans aren't as good as you think. This world, there's always people, threats who will hurt others. They won't listen or understand. The only way to stop them is this. If I need to protect those I've sworn to, then I'll stop them. Whatever it takes. My words were steady, but I couldn't keep bitterness out of them. Nor could I meet Urabel's gaze where the shock and horror I was familiar with would be. It was all happening again. I'm not kind or good like you think. This is what I do. Yrsa? Go back to the village. The path back should be safe. I'll clean up here. Forcing myself to move with an effort, I turned away from Urabel and walked to the severed arm. The blood around it. I had to clean it up before it contaminated the water. That was what I had to focus on. And the gauntlet the bandit had been wearing. As I looked closer, I found something odd. There was a small vial attached to it with liquid still remaining. It looked oddly familiar, but I could not recall why. When I finally looked up again, Urabel had gone. For the next 2 days I did not see Urabel. Although he continued to leave food warmed on the hearth for me, he did not return to the cabin when I came home in the evenings. And even as I tried my best to focus on my repairs work, the folk I helped continued to gossip to me about Urabel. It should have been the usual casual village chatter. I should have been glad to hear how they appreciated him, but it only reminded me of how we'd been there together just days ago, and of the empty seat across my table at mealtime. On top of that, after I'd informed the chief of the bandit threat, some of the villagers had tried to thank me. I could not explain to them why I felt no accomplishment in it. All I could do was continue to work. At least I was still wanted for that, if little else. Done. Keep it out of the rain next time, it'll last longer. You're a lifesaver, Yrsa. And give my regards to the doc, too, will you? My ma's aches and pains are gone for the first time in years, and it's his work. Don't know what we'd do without you two around. The afternoon sunlight shone harshly in my eyes after the dim cabin. Blinking, it took me a few moments to realize that Urabel was crossing the square, surrounded by a small group of rowdy children. We saw each other at about the same time. Although I didn't want to, I couldn't help noticing Urabel's expression. It was not an angry one, but... Why there, Yrsa, girl? At the voice, I looked away before his expression could change again. Old Marcia was bustling up to me.
That's another rocking chair my last husband got for me. It's been making the most awful racket. I can't hear myself think.
I'll go take a look. This needs a new back. The joints are starting to rot off.
Well, if that ain't beat all, it's only been 10 years. They sure don't make wood like they used to. And why ain't the waterman, oh, I suppose he's the doc now, coming with you? Maybe he could have healed the wood like he did with my plants?
For some reason, although I didn't respond, Marcia didn't chatter on as she usually did. Looking up, I noticed she had one curious eye on me.
Yrsa, girl, you ain't gonna have a fight with your man.
He's not. We are only. I did not know how to continue that sentence. Marcia just nodded sagely.
Well, take it from wisdom, girl. Absence does make the heart grow fonder and all, but it ain't good to take it too far, you know. You get close to someone, you gonna bounce right off them once or twice. Just as long as you go back after it's all over. Don't let pride get in the way of what you really want, eh? 3 husbands and I ain't been wrong yet, you mark my words. So what's the fix for this old rocker?
The prayers once again took me a while, but I waved off Marcia's offer of a meal this time. I didn't know what I would say if she pressed me about Urabel again. It wasn't pride, but I just couldn't be the sort of noble and selfless person he would respect. Maybe no human could. So the peaceful days we'd had and the hope I'd let myself have never could have lasted. I should just... What is... Something was wrong. I could hear voices and they were coming from the woods. Marcia's home was close to the edge of the village.
Help, help it!
And then I saw them. A few children were running from the woods, stumbling, voices hoarse with shouting. The boy and girl in the lead. I had seen them with Urabel just a little earlier.
Help, they're gonna kill the doc!
Who? Bandits? Did they come back already? Why did I leave Urabel?
No, it's there. The demon.
What? I was running in the direction the children came from before I could finish my thought. The underbrush dragged at my boots, the twisted branches snapped painfully at my face. But the only thing I could feel was my axe on my back and ice burning in my chest. Why are there demon? Why now? And why had I been such a fool? What had I been thinking? After everything I'd lived for, everything I'd sworn to Urabel, everything he'd tried to do for me. How could I have been so weak as to give up protecting him? Grrr.
Doc. It's all right. When the ice breaks, run. You must run. But you... I shall not let you come to harm, so...
Urabel. Grrr. Die. Damned beasts. You will never hurt those I love again. My axe fell. Blood splattered, dark and foul. White-hot fury and burning pain seared me. The claws of the diamond in front of me came away red with blood. Mine. My stomach was on fire, but it was nothing if I could still swing my axe. The diamond was slowing, falling. Yrsa, watch out! Only Urabel's shout and the crack of ice behind me warned me in time. I spun around. The second diamond's claws smashed into ice appearing from nowhere and cut only into my shoulder rather than my spine. Yrsa, please. Gah! My good hand was still strong. My axe fell again. Darkness bloomed against my sleeves and my hands were soaked in hot tar running red and black. Again. And again. And finally I saw through a haze of red that the second diamond had stopped moving. I stood still in the second clearing over masses of flesh that had once been 2 diamond. Something warm coursed down my cheek and something foul was in my mouth. Blood, the diamonds and mine, was everywhere. Yay, we did it! And this time, Urabel standing before me had seen everything. At least the boy he was protecting had run. At least only one person would see me like this again. Yrsa? She slaughtered it. It was a wolf. No woman should have been. A bear in a dress. No one could ever love that. The heat of the blood on me and in me was fading. I could protect Urabel, but I couldn't face him, not like this. You should leave me be. I turned to leave. I took a few steps, or I thought I did. But then suddenly the forest pitched. My back hit something rough, and blackness filled my vision. And then I felt something warm press against my forehead. What?
Yrsa, I am so sorry. I have been such a fool. Even if you cannot forgive me, please at least let me do this for you.
Warmth began to course through me, light filled my eyelids, and... Urabel? The blood was staining his clothes, but his arms still held onto me firmly, and there was light everywhere.
I was wrong about everything. I had no right. I did not understand this world. I did not know anything about the life you had to live. I judged you cruelly. I hurt you, and I paid the price. I lost you. I will regret it for all of my existence if I lose you again. If you disappear before your time. You must live, Yrsa, please.
His voice sounded faint, and then somewhere in the back of my mind I realized Urabel was using up his energy to heal me. If they use too much energy without replenishing it, they will eventually fade back to their planes to recuperate. An Ishim who has returned to the elemental planes likely can never return to the physical world. Those words resounded in my mind, but I could barely move my body. I couldn't let him. I would not stop.
Yrsa?
My body was weak, fire burned everywhere, but for what seemed the first time in days, my mind was clear. Humans can heal themselves too, and I am strong. So don't you dare.
But
I will not lose you either. Silence. The light around us twinkled brightly, and then began to fade. And Urabel, as if the tension had drained from him as well, gently collapsed against me. I found the strength to reach one arm around him. He was thinner and warmer than I had imagined.
Yrsa, I did not realize.
Stop it. Don't say anything. Just stay. His arms tightened around me. I pulled him closer. And finally the other villagers fetched by the children found us both there, bloodied and utterly disheveled, but alive. Chapter 6. The Festival of Harvest.
Did we do it? Did we get the good end for once?
I opened my eyes blearily to familiar walls. Was it already day? Later than I would awaken normally, the water needed fetching, the hearth to be lit for breakfast. And then more important things came back to me. My side burnt dully. I felt a rough cloth bandage around my chest, but I was in my familiar bed, not the bench, and someone warm was pressed against me. I guess they aren't going to need two beds after all. Urabel's soft hair brushed my cheeks soothingly, more water than strands. I felt his chest rise and fall against me. He was still here. I'd managed to stop him. He hadn't gone away. And I finally remembered the villagers finding us and hobbling back to my cabin together where I'd helped Urabel to bed. And now... I must have pulled him close as I slept, but his arm was around my waist as well.
I will regret it for all of my existence if I lose you again.
No, this couldn't last. No matter how much I didn't want to let go, suddenly. In my mind, I almost heard Marcia chiding me, sleeping in the same bed, cooking and cleaning for each other, managing a home together for a month, and throwing myself headlong at 2 Demon because I'd been terrified of losing him. It is so cute, Cryos. I love it. All of this would have had the village bells ringing by now if it were up to Marcia, but could Urabel, who cared for all equally, have actually felt anything like that for me?
Uh, Yrsa.
Through tousled hair, Arabelle's still sleepy golden eyes met mine. I was suddenly very aware of how close I was holding him. Sorry,
You're all right. I'm so glad.
There wasn't even a hint of confusion or embarrassment in his face, just joy. I did not remember the last time anyone had looked at me with that expression. Yeah, I'll live. Whatever I was feeling, and the argument that the parts of me were having, could wait another day.
Let's get up. I'll get you some water.
Having said that, I nearly fell the first time I tried to stand again. So Arabelle insisted on supporting me as I found my balance. At least my uninjured arm was still strong enough to carry a bucket from the well. We sat beside my woodpile as Arabelle began taking in what energy he could from the water. Watching the sparkling water flowing around him reminded me of the first time I'd seen him do it at the waterfall. And the reminder of how close death had been loosened my tongue. I thought I dealt with those. I guess not. Okay, how do I get back? There we go. Oh, that's fancy. I like that.
Sorry. Yrsa, what are you... The bandits at the waterfall. I frightened you.
We had gone because Arabelle was beginning to feel fatigued again, but after the encounter I'd sent him away before he could fully regain his energy. So if he'd used up his power earlier...
If I hadn't, you wouldn't have almost... No. Yrsa, you must not. It was my fault alone. I was naive and arrogant. I thought the human world would be as simple as my own, where all could agree and no conflict would last. When those men threatened us, I was frightened, but not of you. I simply did not want to believe I could be so mistaken about cruelty and evil. So I pushed you away for protecting me and then fled.
You didn't know about this world, that's...
But I should have trusted you. When those creatures, the demon, showed up, I finally understood what you must do to protect others. You were as strong and good as I had ever thought you were, and I was a fool.
Arabelle?
I cannot begin to apologize.
I'm glad you're back. It's all right.
Yrsa, but...
It's in the past. I'm just glad you're back.
Ah.
Finally, he smiled again, and that almost made up for everything that had just happened.
Then I am glad as well. I should not say this, as it was my fault, but I have missed you greatly.
Don't worry about it.
And I did too.
Aw, the blush!
Then if there's anything at all I can do now to make up. Hi, Yrsa, Doctor.
And then the quiet atmosphere around us was broken by the cheerful arrival of Silvervale's village chief. Chief Oren, broad-bellied, gray-bearded, but good-natured, had arranged patrols of the village while I was asleep, and to my relief he'd just come to tell us that there were no other sightings after Arabelle and I had fought the two demon.
Ain't like we can be certain, but I'll ask everyone to keep the children in town for now, but... Oh, the kids are fine, Doctor. I told them to leave you alone till you've recovered, though.
That is good, thank you. And we'll be fine soon. I can take on my fair share of patrols as well.
Gods, Yrsa, no, you're half dead already. You've pelted plenty. Let the men do something rather useful for the village.
Arabelle placed a hand on my arm, and I relented. I suppose I could have recovered my strength quickly with his help, but I didn't want to worry him either.
And anyway, I didn't come here to ask you to help. There's one other thing I wanted to let you know. Demon or no demon, we're still going to hold that Festival of Harvest end of this week.
With everything that had happened with Arabelle and the demon, I had completely forgotten the festival.
I have heard a little of this festival here and there. It is a celebration of the bounty of the land, where people come together to give thanks, as I understand.
Well, that's the traditional meaning, but ain't much bounty to the land here. No, it's just a good time for folks now. People get out the nice food and drink, good company, dancing, bonfires, and a good chance for young and not so young lovers to pair up to go together, eh, Yrsa?
Lovers?
I had not attended the festival for over 10 years. I'd made my excuses each year as not having a partner and having work to do. This year I had no such excuse, but the chief had continued, apparently not noticing my expression.
Things have been tough for folk recently. Having something to look forward to helps with getting through the hard parts. So chin up, you hear? I'd better see you two there together. Anyway, that's all I came to say. I've got someone to send food to you, so just make sure you rest up.
And he laughed cheerfully.
The leader of your village seems a good man. It is kind of him to personally invite us.
Yeah, Orin knows how to keep morale up.
Although, Yrsa, did he say for us to go together? I had thought that...
Why did Urabel's face suddenly look a little pink?
It's just that I do not know what the customs of the festival are. I would love to see it, but if I accidentally offend, or you may wish to take someone else. No, I'll go with you. It's not that much, just a good meal and some dancing. I'll show you around. Then thank you. I would be honored to attend with you. But, first, please let me tend to your wounds again. I have enough energy now, so...
Urabel busied himself finding fresh bandages and water, and I tried to caution him against overexerting himself. Seeing him here once again made me realize how much I'd missed him for the last few days. And maybe that was why I'd agreed, without ever even thinking, to go to the festival. If I truly had to make an appearance at a harvest festival again, I suppose there was no one other than him I would have wanted to go with. Over the next few days, as Urabel and I slowly returned to work around the village, I began to notice more signs of life and excitement. Old women sitting in the square, weaving long wreaths and bouquets and chattering to each other, young men moving chairs and tables from the storerooms. The few children we saw outside were now being watched over by village women, but aside from that, any signs of the demon attack were all but gone. It was good to see things returning to normal and that Urabel was once again with me.
Hey, it's the doc and the the lady carpenter.
A few of the children saw us as we arrived in the square and broke loose from their harried-looking watcher to run up to us. I recognized the girl whose toy I'd fixed. It had seemed like forever to go.
Are you really okay? Giselle was crying that you both died and the diamond ate you. I was not. You take that back.
Oh my. Well, we're not eaten.
I knew you wouldn't die. They called you like the lady bear or something, right? And bears are way tougher than demon.
That's...
Right? He told us you just ran in with an axe and hacked them both up. Wow, that's super cool. Right? She's badass. I want to be the man wolf when I'm as big as her. You Dumbo, what kind of name is that?
Now, be kind. I watched on from the side as Urabel mediated between the bickering children. They hadn't been scared too much by the diamond. That was good at least. Though they seemed more fond of my bear name than I was. If you'll make me the happiest man of the day, would you be like this beautiful bouquet and...
Oh, you silly.
It's not silly to say this to the girl I love.
Saying that makes it silly.
At the far edge of the square, I caught sight of a young man and woman hanging off each other. Both looked as if they'd just come of age, and the woman held a small bunch of flowers. Courtship, then, or an invitation to the festival. The last time I'd had a date to the festival had ended poorly. I did not begrudge anyone else's young love. I had just eventually understood that it would never be for me. But now... Yrsa? It's nothing. Let's get back to work, then. No use thinking about it. It was easier to focus on making sure Urabel could enjoy this festival. The days up until the festival once again passed quickly, normally.
Urabel sometimes returned late from healing, but always with warm food or baked goods, and I'd finally begun to learn a few dishes as well. It hadn't seemed important when it was just me at the table, but now that there were two of us, I could finally understand why Urabel always looked so happy to see me eat. Perhaps I would never take to it naturally, but it wasn't bad, and I could admit, despite all my fears, that I wanted this to last. Finally, the festival night arrived. I was kept so busy that I barely had time to see Urabel that day, but we had planned to meet at the village square, so I could not keep him waiting, but there was one thing I still needed to do. Taking a moment to head back to my cabin, I found the small box I'd kept away for 10 years. One of the elders had given some jewelry, bracelets, to me for the last festival I'd attended. I'd worn them for one night and then tried to return them to her afterwards. Jewelry had seemed unfitting for someone like me, but she'd absolutely refused to take them back. My girl, keep them. You'll find it good to appreciate you wearing them someday. Maybe that ain't any of the boys here, but it don't matter. The world is a wide place.
Weird that they gave that one character a name, but nobody else. That's the only villager other than Marsha that has a name.
For her, then, and Urabel.
Oh, look at the flowers. I changed to the one dress I owned, put on the bracelets, and adorned my hair. Maybe for one night I could let myself pretend to be a normal woman. Though the square had been merely busy when I left earlier, it was now bustling and lit almost as bright as day by bonfire and candlelight. Where was Urabel? I suddenly wondered whether I would be able to find him in this crowd, but... Ah, Yrsa! You've arrived. I was not sure where to wait, but it seems I needn't have worried. And oh! You look wonderful. You as well. To avoid any embarrassment, I don't know how taking his hand is going to avoid embarrassment, but fuck it. Something made me bold, and I reached for his hand. Should I let me show you around? Ah, yes, please do. With his hand warmly holding mine, we started to make our rounds. I'd rushed through the village square earlier on my errands when it had still been strewn with haphazard decorations and people arguing over where to put them. But everyone had pulled together, and the excited chatter of the crowd and the children running about between them laid to rest any worries I'd had. A few couples, both young and old, walked hand in hand, and more chatted eagerly by their own candlelights at the benches and tables set around the square. I felt Urabel's hand in my own a little more consciously, but maybe I'd squeezed his hand unaware because he smiled back at me. All in all, it looked as if everyone in the village was here. Damn nasty business with those diamond, eh? We're proper grateful, Yrsa. And for bringing us the dock. This is the year I've been here without a gimp leg. I'm very glad to hear your leg is still well. How has it been with... now you've got him started. Pa'll talk his ear off about his scratchings if you let him. Yrsa, now you look lovely. You two make a great pair. Thank you. We were accosted several times as we walked through the crowds. Once again, Urabel's grateful patients had no shortage of praise for him. But they praised me as well. I was used to everyone's kindness, but this felt strange to me. Yrsa, you seem to have something on your mind. It's only odd to have so much attention. Is it not odd at all? Is it? You are beautiful, so of course, at least that's what I would think they'd... And how much Urabel's eyes sparkled as he looked at me was the oddest part, but I did not say that to him. We ate as the evening grew late and the stars came out, at tables fully laden with food alongside other cheerful families. The chatter about distant family, how their gardens grew, the children's spats and pickiness about food, it soothed me. So I was caught off guard when the chief's voice rang out along with a few musical notes from the band to announce the start of the harvest dance. The years ain't been kind to us all, but that just means we've had to be kind to each other, and there ain't that many of us who've lived up to that in every bit of their lives. Silvervale would be a poor village if it ain't for them, so the first dance goes to 'em who deserve the honor.
Let Yrsa and the good Doc Urabel take the floor.
What? The square seemed to shrink around me. I suddenly found myself staring at a patch of empty earth with nothing in particular. If I moved, I thought I might have thrown up the hearty meal I'd just enjoyed.
No, I cannot.
My voice was drowned out by the roaring in my ears. I couldn't tell if it was cheering my heartbeat or jeers. A dancing bear standing in the middle of the crowd while Rigmar and the she-bear played jauntily. Yrsa? And then a familiar face filled my vision, and warm hands were on my shoulders.
What's wrong? Please, I want to help. I cannot dance. I should not. I would be an embarrassment. You should find another partner. I do not want you to be laughed at. I will not allow anyone to laugh at you or at us. And they will not. I have not known them for long, but you are loved by everyone here. They wish you harm even less than I do. It will be all right. Will you trust me?
The lights around me were blurred. I still could not tell what the people around me were saying, but Urabel was there. I will. When the music started, the tune was not Rigmar and the she-bear. It was quieter and more elegant. It almost didn't seem fitting for a village dance, or me, but... And then Urabel took my hand again, and even the music seemed to fall away.
You've learned to dance? I learned from some of my patients. I had wanted to surprise you. But forgive me, it seems I should have told you. No, it's all right. I was just surprised.
I had not danced in 10 years, and Urabel had likely only had a week's worth of training. We both missed steps and nearly collided. We must have looked nothing like the graceful village dancers I'd been envious of as a child. But somehow it was all right. Lights glimmered about us, and the flow of the music, or was it the flow of water, carried us along. And Urabel's arm around my waist and my hand pulling him close felt like home.
I thank you for this dance. Yrsa, it was my pleasure.
The music ended. Urabel and I were slowly returned to the square and to the company of the crowds. And though I listened hesitantly, all I heard was clapping and cheer.
Let's get some air where it's quieter. Let the younger folk have the next dance.
Away from the bonfires, the early autumn night air was refreshingly cool. The stars seemed to shine brighter in the mild chill. Urabel and I sat down, side by side, on a bench a little further from the square. We could still hear the cheer of the crowds, but it was quiet enough to converse comfortably.
It is a lovely night.
It is.
We do not see the stars like this in the plain of water. I do not know if they exist there, but they are beautiful.
We leaned back together. The distinct twinkle of autumn stars shone quietly above us.
Oh, so you may certainly refuse to answer, but are you all right after all? I had never seen you so distressed before. If you truly did not enjoy dancing, or if it was me you objected to as a partner, then I...
No, absolutely not. That came out somewhat more forcefully than I expected. But if Urabel was going to blame himself otherwise, then I might as well tell him.
12 years ago, that was the last time I agreed to attend this festival with someone. Hey there. Seen you around the mines quite a bit. Isn't it rough work for a lady? I'm strong, so I help where I can. Rocks don't care. Is that so? Well, I'm sure I can still carry more than you. Let's make a bet. If you lose, why don't you show me around town? I just got here from Velvald to help with the silver, and I'd rather walk around with a cute girl than these ugly old men, you know. All right.
I won the bet. He sulked, but stayed around and kept talking to me. Yes, this is true. The build-up to this flashback is super good. I wasn't sure why he was interested in me, but I didn't want to doubt him. I was 18. That was the first time someone my age had called me cute or thought of me as a woman. So she's 30 in the current game. I think that's the first time they've actually specified her age.
Girls aren't cute if they don't know where they need help. So just let me do it for you. I'm a man, you know. I should be the one protecting you. Don't be so stubborn. You said you'd be my girl, so if you could just go off on your own all the time, what am I supposed to think? Anyway, if you try harder to just be normal, I'll tell everyone about you at the festival. That you're actually kind and gentle and the girl I love.
He did not like to see me showing my strength because I was still stronger than him. He wanted me to be softer and kinder.
That's because he sucks. Strong girls OP.
Soft girls good too.
But strong girls OP.
Back then I thought I loved him and that making myself more like what he wanted was what I was supposed to do.
No!
And then a week before the harvest festival, a pack of wolves began carrying off animals from the village.
Sending a girl out here to guard with me? What were they thinking? I thought you wanted to spend more time with. You should have told him I didn't need help. Why can't you just act more like a normal girl and leave it to... That's shit. 3 of them? Get back. Don't you dare come any close. Ah, no, down. Get off him. You mutts, stay away from our village. Ah! This one's dead. Even if the other 2 ran off, shouldn't bother Silvervale anymore. Are you alright? How did you just... You're a beast.
I wanted to think he was just in shock, and that was why he didn't come to see me that week. I went to the festival alone that year, hoping to apologize to him, but couldn't find him. I only found a couple of his friends who told me to wait for the last dance. He'd asked them to play a song. I was standing alone when it played. It was a mock ballad about the warrior Rigmar and how a witch tricked him into marrying a bear who ate him.
Why? Hope that'll keep her away. Arsh, the hell? What have you seen what she did? She's a bear in a dress. I should have known. I thought she'd be grateful because she didn't look like anyone wanted to court her. So like an idiot, I was trying to get her to loosen up. And she slaughtered it. It was a wolf. No woman should have been. What, tell her and get hacked to bits? Just keep her away from me. Not like I'm staying in the shithole anyway.
How could someone who claimed to care do such a...
He did not care. I eventually understood why. I have always been too strong. When I was a child, I would carry supplies for my parents' wagon. And after I was taken in by Silvervale, I would work with the miners. I was proud of my strength. It was what made me myself, and I could help those I loved. But it meant I could not be a woman anyone could love.
Yrsa?
Men love women who they can protect and who depend on them. They wish for women they can be stronger than. But I can never be that woman. I am as strong as a bear and as savage. I have known that for a while. I am not someone they can protect. I will not follow them, and I will not hide my strength when they challenge me. When I was old enough, I swore to protect this village. I will never give up my strength for anyone ever again. So I do not...
I stopped and realized I'd gotten very far off track. Herbal had only asked me why I did not enjoy dancing. There was no need to say all of that. But maybe I just wanted him to know what kind of woman I was.
That's all. But it wasn't your fault, so don't...
No, Yrsa, It was, because I have been a coward.
What?
Would you open this? He handed me a small carved wooden box, and within it was...
A hairpin? How did you...
The gem glittered like a star, but there were no jewelry sellers in Silvervale, not anymore.
Where?
But I looked more closely and realized the silver of the pin was actually polished steel like that of the blacksmiths. After you invited me to the festival, Marcia told me of a custom. Before the festival, those who wished to show their devotion would give a gift of jewelry to the one they loved.
Oh, that's...
I crafted the water gem almost a week ago and asked the smith to help me make this, as I knew you took pride in your hair. He finished 3 days ago. I have had it with me since. But I did not tell you because I was afraid.
Why would you be afraid of...
Because you are the most wonderful person I have ever met, in this plane and my own. And I am only an Ishim who has just begun to understand how to live.
Urbel?
You are kind, but you are also strong. You care for others more than yourself, but you neither resent them nor lose yourself in them.
Unlike everyone I have ever known, you've always lived as yourself. But you have made everyone else's lives better in doing so. And you shine more brightly than any gem I could craft. I found myself unable to take my eyes off you at times.
I never even suspected, even when I'd noticed Arabelle looking at me on occasion. But that was no surprise. I'd never realized how I felt myself until I had woken up with him in my arms that morning.
I have loved you since before I understood what love meant to humans. I wanted to stand close beside you and support you, and live peacefully with you as long as we both exist. But I feared to tell you. I did not know if you felt that way, and as you've said, it is hard to find two individuals who feel the same for each other. I did not know if you would find my feelings bothersome, or if I even had a right to voice them. But if I had, even if you'd rejected them, you would have known my intention. You might not have been surprised or hurt by this festival. So I am sorry.
Don't be. He couldn't possibly have known. Neither of us could have. We'd both been circling each other. But that ended here. Don't be afraid to tell me. I don't want to be someone you're wary of or disgusted by, because I don't ever want to lose you either.
Yrsa, but that is... I
love you.
May I?
Arabelle nodded, and I kissed him. Yeah! Woo! He tasted of pure ice, warmed and melted in the spring, and the hint of a sea breeze over sunlit shores. His hand against the back of my neck entwined with my hair, just as fiercely as I held him against me. And this time no interruptions came. The stars were content to twinkle down on us, and let us make up for long lost time.
That was quite amazing. I had not realized.
It was good?
I don't have much practice. Practice? I'm not sure if I could withstand it if you was to... But,
Oh, I expected this to have a really, really sad ending at some points, so that just adds fuel to the fire. I pulled him into another embrace, as much to hide my face going red as anything else.
Later then. We have plenty of time. Yes, I cannot help but look forward to it. But, I almost forgot. May I help you put on the hairpin? If it does not suit you, I can... No, I'm certain it will, but... Damn it, I'm sorry. Where did it...
I remembered a clatter earlier where when we'd been too focused on each other and knocked it over in our haste. But the ground was dark, and even the glow of the gem was hard to make out. I can share some info about endings if you want.
This what you be looking for, girl?
You are...
Olaine?
Good, you won't need a reminder, and it looks like you've been getting on quite well, eh? But unfortunately, I ain't here for the nuptials. I hope to be serious now. There's an entire pack of diamond headed towards Silvervale.
Oh.
Fuck.
They said the thing. They said the thing. They said the thing.
I got at least one bad ending, but you dodged it. I'm amazed I dodged any bad endings. I am the worst at visual novels.
Madam, Scholar Elaine, since everyone's here now, could you start from the beginning about what you told me? Will do, though we ain't got that much time. I'll be quick.
It was the morning after the festival. Everyone with authority in Silvervale was gathered once again in the village hall. Amidst a sea of grim faces, including mine, Olaine nevertheless looked calm. Fucking baby spider. There we go. It's so annoying. And Urabel was at my side, his hand on mine as we listened. That was a small reassurance.
Like I said, I'm an alchemist. Was traveling through this area when I heard tell of some goings on with Diamond. I trust you've heard that the Diamond attacks nearby. Sounded strange to me, Diamond showing up in such numbers. So I've been chasing rumors for a couple of months. Chatted up folks in Brookhaven, dug up diamond pits in Velvald, the like. Well, long story short, turns out somebody's been luring Diamond towards towns.
What? A few murmurs came from the crowd. Elaine went on.
Every town that got attacked, there were bits of rotten meat left in odd places and Diamond footsteps clustered around when Diamond usually wandered with no reason. Odd coincidences if it ain't planned. But hang on.
There were a few more suspicious eyes on Elaine now. It had been a bold proclamation, and she wasn't known to the village. Everyone knows Diamond ain't attracted to dead meat. They aim for the living. If you wanted to lure Diamond, it ain't rotten meat you'd have to use.
Sharp, but I was just getting to that. There's a concoction that attracts Diamond. Takes some herb or alchemy skill to make it, so it ain't common. Dangerous, too. But it's got its uses. Officially, it's made for baiting Diamond into traps, but if someone else gets their hands on it...
I suddenly remembered. I got paid to drink traps, not fight Diamond. It's your stinking Diamond bait, we called him. You deal with it. Got this bait stuff right then. And the gauntlet the bandit had been wearing. There was a small vial attached to it, this liquid still remaining. That's...
You thought of something, girl?
I dug through my pouch in lieu of a response. I'd kept the vial and gauntlet after I'd cleaned up the bandit's arm, but after what happened with Urabel, I'd completely forgotten about it until now. Thankfully, I hadn't lost the vial after all. I handed it to Elaine.
Well, I'll be damned. Where'd you get this?
Bandits. The attention of the room was on me now. Urabel gave my hand an encouraging squeeze. I went on. The doctor and I ran into some bandits up by the waterfall about 10 days ago. They didn't want to be seen and attacked us. When we drove them off, one of them dropped this bottle. And the alchemist just reminded me, while I was up in Reedholm, they had workers digging traps for Diamond. The Reedholm guards had bottles they called diamond bait. It looked exactly like this.
This sure seems to be the same make. Good memory, girl.
And the smell of rotting meat, I'd noticed the bandits' abandoned camp. The oddness of two diamonds showing up so quickly, it all suddenly made sense. The hubbub rising among the crowd now was louder, angrier, and less uncertain.
Reedholm? They ain't content with setting high prices. Now they're setting Diamond on us? But hang a moment, why? We've got no beef with Reedholm or its guard. Why would they send bandits or lure Diamond to us? We ain't got nothing they want.
True, the Reedholm guard at least had treated me fairly. I hadn't seen signs of plotting, though I wouldn't have known what to look for regardless. But before I could make a fool of myself speculating.
That ain't the important part now, is it? You can deal with them who's responsible later. But fact remains, you've got a pack of Diamond on your doorstep.
Sudden silence. Elaine continued with a thoughtful look at me as she did.
Since we've agreed the bait is what's been attracting the Diamond, I'll go on. A week ago, I was around Brookhaven Way and found eaten bait and tracks in the middle of the woods, heading elsewhere. I followed the trail and kept finding bait and more diamond tracks, joining on. Once I passed them, I realized I was just about at your village. So now there's a big pack of Diamond following someone's trail of bait, and it's leading them right to Silvervale. They're just about a day off now.
How many diamond do you reckon?
At least a dozen, and a big one.
A dozen? A moment of silence followed. That's insane. We can't fight that many. We ain't got tall walls like Reedholm's, and our menfolk ain't. He stopped, but I knew what he meant to say. Silvervale was old. Young men went elsewhere to work. Even those who could still fight were past their prime. I was the strongest person in the village, and I had nearly been killed taking on 2 diamond. A dozen diamond arriving as a pack, and the big one. I did not want to imagine it. You ain't suggesting we leave our homes. If we can get out before they get here. Dragging children and elders into the mountains for the beasts and God knows what. Are you out of your mind? Panic was beginning to spread. Voices rose here and there, hints of shrillness in them were snapping at each other. Elaine looked on, her expression inscrutable. I wanted to say something, but I did not know what. Please hold on a moment, everyone. The furor softened. Urbel's voice was quiet, but somehow it carried into the room. You are not defenseless. You need not fear so quickly. Whatever you do, you will have help. I will aid you in any way I can, and you have a protector. She is the strongest person I have known. We will not let you come to harm. Urbel. Though I'd fought Diamond very recently, I did not know if it would help us plan for this. But as I looked, there were slow nods around the room. Even the chief seemed to be listening. Yrsa, they trust you in your strength, and I do as well. I do not know enough to help them here, but will you guide them with what you know? I'll try. The moment of peace that Urbel had created finally helped me piece my thoughts together. It wasn't anything like a strategy, just a feeling, but for Silvervale that might have been enough. This village, Silvervale, is strong. All of us know these mountains. If we stay, we have firm buildings to weather the attack. We can set traps and guard the roads. If we leave, we know the best routes to take to move quickly, but we'll have no defense on the road except by our own hand. And no one wants to leave their homes. Nods at that. The room seemed to be listening, even Elaine. Her sharp eyes were focused on me. But if we stay, we need a plan. How many bows and blades we have, which building is the strongest to shelter, and where to set traps, who fights. And we can't put those who can't fight in danger's way. So the elders, children, and those who can't carry a blade should shelter. Those who will fight should prepare.
Well said. And before you call me an elder girl, I'll help you fight as well. Plenty of places for alchemy to be of use here, and I've got a few traps up my sleeve. So what'll it be, Chief?
And when Chief Orin declared that we would fight, we began to prepare. Yrsa, you were wonderful. You spoke to them clearly, and they listened. It was a sight to see. Urbel. Thank you. I'm just glad you were there to help me. It was nothing. I only spoke what I thought. I stopped myself from reaching out to take his hand or pat his shoulder or just touch him with an effort. I couldn't at that moment. But the plan is set now. It seems a good one. The Diamond Pack were approaching from the east. Because Diamond aimed for living beings, they would try to enter the village once they got close enough. But they wouldn't be able to reach the village from the east. Tall cliffs stood in the way. So the pack would probably circle around. They might take either the forested north road or the road to the south where the closed mines were. Elaine had taken the bandits' vial and was setting up bait and alchemical traps in the south, hoping to lead most of the diamond there. And the village's 20 able-bodied fighters would be split into groups, 2 large ones to defend the north and south, and 1 to keep watch to the east. Everyone else would shelter in the town hall and storehouse at the village center, as they were the most strongly built stone buildings. That would allow the fighters to focus without worrying for their families. Diamond should not be able to break through to them. Stocking food in the storehouse, as the villagers may need a shelter there for some time. Urbel was speaking. I tore my thoughts back, but I knew I would have to raise the subject with him soon. Since there is time, I will help prepare food for them as well. But as soon as that is complete, I will go with you to the northern road. No. You should shelter in the village center too. But what? No, I cannot. You will be fighting Diamond in the north. I can't let you come to harm while I am... I won't. There will be at least 7 fighting men with me. And the chief's out fighting as well. Everyone in the village center, they need someone there to keep them calm. You're their doctor. They trust you. You should be there. Yrsa, I know you are right. The villagers need a guide and someone to watch over them, but it need not be me. There are many villagers here who are brave and who the rest look up to. I do not... Please, you know my power can be used to defend. Let me stay with you. Let's go with they need your power elsewhere. No, your power can't only be used for my sake. Injured fighters will retreat to the village center. You'll be able to heal them there. If you're in the north, those fighting in the south have no support. Go to the village center. That's the only way we can keep everyone safe. I understand. Try as I might, I couldn't stop myself from looking after Urbel as he walked away slowly. But I couldn't yell after him or apologize, not now. And before I could think anything else, another familiar face came into view.
Well, looks like you made the rational decision. It's a fine strategy to keep healers at the back.
Is it? Good.
It is, so why do you not look satisfied, girl?
It doesn't matter. This is the right decision. He'll be safer.
Is it then? Sure seems a bit selfish to me, keeping all the danger to yourself and giving him all the worry instead. Well, you ain't asked me, so it's none of my business. I just came to tell you the chief wants a word about the preparations. He's over that a ways. I'll be off with the traps then.
And she left as well. I found myself standing alone. She was right. I was selfish, but it was only because I was too weak. After a single night, no, a single month, I already knew I was not strong enough to lose someone I loved ever again. I would do everything I could to prevent that. I gritted my teeth and went off to find the chief. Between my rushing here and there, evening had fallen before I knew. The earlier bustle of supply, stocking had died down, but the cooking fires were eerily absent tonight, so Silvervale only sat silently with anticipation. Scouts had sighted the diamond pack, and by their speed they would in fact arrive early the next day, so there was a long night before me. The other fighters in my squad had decided to take up watch in one of the old towers near the north gate to be ready. I could join them now. But I suddenly had a thought. If Urabel was at the village center now, maybe he had forgotten something at home. Or was there something I could bring him? It was a foolish thought, but nevertheless, perhaps I should check. I mean, yeah, sure, do it. There's no harm in checking one more time. As I approached, I was surprised to find that a small light was still burning inside the house. If Urabel had left in haste, I should at least put it out. Yrsa, I'm glad. I had wanted to see you one more time, but did not know. I'm glad too, but weren't you going? Why are you still here? I smelled the answer before he could respond. I had missed the cooking smoke in the evening darkness, but a pot full of vegetable soup and a fresh loaf of bread sat on the hearth. You were cooking? Yes, it was a small whim of mine. I thought if you returned to the cabin for anything, you would enjoy a warm meal, and this would keep for tomorrow, so... Came a little closer. Urabel raised a ladle full of soup and offered it to me, as he normally would whenever I watched him cook over his shoulder. And he'd been teaching me as well before the festival. I'd wanted to learn so I could see him smile at me over my food. And I'd finally understood why. I'd finally told him how I felt. I'd finally been able to see him happy because of me. But now we hadn't even had a single meal together before. Yrsa, what's wrong? Damn it, I'm so sorry. Yrsa? Why did... It shouldn't have been like this. I wanted to come home and see you here and eat together, and I wanted you to be happy. Oh, Yrsa, I've been so happy all this time. Being with you, learning how to live, has given me more joy than I've ever known. But... I know. I am terrified as well. I do not want to let you go. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose any of these memories. I do not know if there is any good choice to make. But this will not be the end. Promise me. Promise that you will come back. I do. I promise. I'll come back. We'll share this food together. Urabel's arm squeezed me tightly. I held on to him as if he would melt into water at any moment. Finally morning came, and so did the diamond. The first sign I heard, standing watch with my squad at the entrance to the woods, was a series of blasts echoing dully from the south. What the hell are those? The traps, alchemical fire, I think. I recalled Olane's blasts of fire and the diamond she had taken out almost without effort. She was in the south, overseeing her traps along with the fighting squad. I hoped her other alchemical tricks were as impressive. Well, damn, but that's loud. Think that got him at least one? Let's hope, eh? Maybe it's the big one. Guess we just gotta trust the mad old alchemist. Keep an eye out. Quiet fell. My hand unconsciously went to my hair where I'd added Urabel's silver pin last night. Feeling the cool stone gave me a small bit of comfort, almost as if Urabel's hand were on mine. Morning fog curled about the undergrowth, creating odd shadows in thin air.
We held our mismatched weaponry, axes, a sharpened shovel, a pike from old Alessian military service, and 2 quickly restringed bows at the ready, and waited. We didn't have to wait long. There came suddenly a low growl, and the cracking of branches from the fog. That's... Left of the straight elm, shoot! 2 arrows flew into the mist, and there was a pained roar. Moments later... You bastard, take this! Grah! Almost. Oh, wait, there's more coming. In the commotion caused by the first, 2 more diamond burst from the trees, and the skirmish began in earnest. Ah! They're dead, right? Yeah. The 3 diamond had fallen, but we were not unscathed either. With help, I tied a white cloth around a cut on my arm. It would have to do for now. 2 men had taken more serious wounds and had to be tended to. If you can walk, head back to the village center. The doctor's there. We had 6 fighters, including me. 3 diamond were down. Out of about a dozen, we would have trouble fighting off another 3 without someone being hurt. All I could do was hope that Olane's scheme had actually lured the majority of them into her traps. Oh, what was that? Back now! And then something massive smashed through the trees. Oh, that's terrifying. What the... No goddamn way. What the hell is that? Most diamond were still shaped like the wild beasts they had once been, but this creature had too many heads, and they shrieked in unison. Keep shooting it. The arrows had no effect. The monstrosity lumbered forward slowly, ponderously, but deliberately. Its teeth, if they could be called that, glittered a sickening silver against the void in its maw. Keep shooting and fall back. We'll wear it down. Ugh. We had almost backed up to the outermost buildings of the village, but we were running out of arrows. The creature had kept pace with our steady retreat without even reacting to the shafts in its body and heads. Then we'll hold it here. 1 more volley and then to blades. Gah! My axe cut into its fur just as the other men's blade had, but it was not enough. I leapt away as the giant claw swung past me a hair's breadth away and struck a nearby oak. The tree trunk exploded, showering us with wood chips as the remnants crashed to the forest floor. The walls of the village storehouses flashed into my mind. Yrsa, we can't stop this thing. Squad in the east, we gotta get help. If we don't stop it here, it'll head straight for the village center. We can't. We have to. If we all die out here, they won't know what's coming. And we have to get back to everyone alive. Promise me. Promise that you will come back. I do. I promise. All right. Archers, go find the east and south squads. Get more arrows and get help. Everyone else head back towards the square. The streets of Silvervale were silent in the morning gloom. The only thing I heard was the sound of our footsteps, the heavy breathing of the others, and the thuds of the monster coming after us, slowly and unhurriedly. Our plan had been sound. Only a few diamond had came up the northern path after all, but so had this monster, and none of us knew how to stop it. I realized I was running up the steps that led into the village square. At the other end of the square was the hall and the storehouses. Stop. There were only 3 men with me now. The archers had run to seek help. I did not know if the 2 wounded men had made it back. And try as I might, I heard no sounds of reinforcements. We only had 2 men with axes, one with a pike, which would be hard to use in the village, and me. I'm sorry, but a pike is like the OP weapon for a village. You set it in the ground, and things don't pass you. But we could retreat no further. We'll fight here. We won't let it get any closer to our folks. Pikes are the noob weapon. Exactly. You don't need to use them. You need to know how to use them. You just set them in the ground and hold them in the direction of the enemy, and they can't approach.
We'll fight here. We won't let it get any closer to our folks. Axes to the sides. Ambush it when it comes up the steps. I'll stand here and draw its attention. Pike, go. Tell the folks in the village hall. Make sure they're ready to run if... Will do. The pikemen left, the other fighters took their positions, and the diamond's footsteps thudded closer around the corner. We will not let this creature through. And then the diamond burst into view and came at us. Hey look, it's our creepy friend. Die! Grrrah! The creature swung wildly, but I was already away. The other fighters leapt at it, seeing an opening. Grrrah! But still it kept coming. I cut and dodged and cut again. The creature's claws tore through walls in its way. Rubble and chips of stone showered me, and so did black blood. Fall already, damn you! Our axes were making contact. The creature was wounded, but I couldn't stand in the way of claws that could shatter solid stone. I could only step back little by little, and it kept coming. Gah! God damn it! The other fighter fell back as well, his weapon broken by a swipe. I was the only one in the creature's way, and its head turned toward me all as one. Yeah, like that. Its attention focused, the attack came fast, and I did not realize how tired I was until I tried to dodge again a little too slowly. I hit the ground heavily as fire and red burst over my shoulder. My axe slid away across the flagstones. Even as I desperately turned, the diamond was raising its claws again. No, I couldn't. Not here, I was so close. I'd promised. I had to come back to him. Enough! Urbel? Why are you... Urbel was holding me tightly. A pure shield of ice rose from his hand, unbroken. Diamond's claws did not pierce it. The light around him shone like a star, but the smile he showed me was even brighter. But, with the ice and the power I felt healing my wounds, he couldn't hold out like this. No, you can't. It's still too strong for you. You have to go. No, Yrsa, listen to me. I will not leave you again. Whatever happens, I will face it with you. But... I love you. I do not want to be apart from you and fear for you from afar ever again. And you have protected me all this time. You've done so much. So let me be your shield. Let me stand at your side. I'm just gonna do something real quick. Need this for later. You know. We're just gonna send that to Chase. You know. She'll cry. It'll be fun. We kind of have this ongoing thing back and forth where she tries to hurt me, I try to hurt her. Everybody wins. To be worthy as your partner, to be the one you love, let me protect you as well. The ice held, sparkling blue. Urbel's arms around me were warm, and I knew he wouldn't let go even if the ice did. I wanted you to be safe. Yrsa, I know. But I believe there is still a chance for all of us. And I heard voices, but not those of the fighting men. This for size. Get on out of our... I've got as many of these as you got snouts, yeah! Are they throwing rocks at it? Don't eat the carpenter lady. Silvervale's got all of us too, girl. A flood of voices and rocks flew at the diamond from every direction. Everyone who'd sheltered at the village hall was there. The no longer bow-legged old man, the bickering children, old Marcia, and everyone else. When had they come out? Why, they should have... They love you and this village just as I do. They wanted to protect you as well. And with those words, I realized that the diamond above us had stopped attacking. The rocks that struck it couldn't have hurt it where our axes hadn't, but all of its heads were furiously twisting this way and that. Faced with an onslaught of rocks and rubble from every direction, it was confused. Every time it lifted its claws to advance one way, 2 more rocks would strike it from another, and as it moved, I suddenly saw from below that the creature had another face. It was almost like a human's. It had been so hidden under the other monstrous heads that none of us had noticed it until then. And for some reason its eyes seemed to be staring at Urbel and I. Its mouth opened and closed wordlessly, almost pleadingly. That creature, it should not be, but it's in pain. Urbel? Then let's put it out of its pain. My shoulder was healed, but I had no blade. My axe was too far to reach, and I'd lost the knife I usually carried. But Urbel's polished steel hairpin felt suddenly heavy in my hair. Sorry. Yrsa? I'm going to use your present poorly. I leapt to my feet, sidestepped Urbel's shield, and in a single motion slammed the hairpin into the creature's last head. Every one of its monstrous heads roared in unison, but it stumbled. I threw myself back and grabbed Urbel, pulling him with me as the creature flailed, its claws wild but aimless and growing slower. And then finally, with a last rattle like an iron quenched, it toppled to the ground, all of its heads falling completely still. Yrsa? It is gone. It really is over. You did it. And before the wave of voices and cheering could hit me, I grabbed Urbel and pulled him into a tight embrace. I'm back, like I promised. I'm not going anywhere again. Sorry about the hairpin. Oh, Yrsa, you know I do not. Welcome back, Yrsa. I'm home. Sitting in the village hall and watching the wounded be treated, I realized we'd suffered fewer casualties than I could have dared hope for. Olane's bait and traps had worked. Most of the diamond had been wiped out on the south road. But the remaining diamond had tied up the fighting men in the south and the east. That was why he hadn't been able to find reinforcements. But it was over now. Urbel's hand was in mine once again. I couldn't remember whether I'd let it go since that morning. And as expected, Olane had grinned when she saw us there.
You sure are a sight, girl, and Urbel glad to see you're still here.
I would be nowhere else, thank you. Good to see you well, Olane. I was covered in black blood, dust, and grime. Urbel seemed to have completely missed Olane's humor, but then she smiled genuinely.
You did well, Yrsa, my girl. I'm glad I wasn't wrong. And you held up your part of our deal better than anyone else could have ever expected. So, I suppose it's time I did my part, too.
Something seemed a little different about her this time in her voice. Was she standing taller? Our deal? I thought it was concluded when...
Show me how you live around here, and I'll help you out with something, alchemically. Well, I should be on my way. There's a few people I want to have a little chat with. And your chief seems to be mooning over me. Best I leave before I break any more hearts.
From around a hastily set up dividing sheet, Chief Orin yelled something half imprecatory and half suggestive. Is that possible for humans? No, that is, do not take him seriously. Olane, where will you be going?
Read home.
Read? That was right, the bait and the diamond attacks in the first place. But Olane shook her head as I began to say something else.
I've told your chief to keep the people calm as best he can. There's been enough hurt and pain. I don't want any more fighting. Let me do my part to help. I promise you I will not let Reed home hurt anyone else.
Then I hold you to that promise. Come back and let us know sometime.
Oh, you learn quick, girl. Good. Then I'll be off. What about you two?
Well, I believe we have somewhere else to be as well. Yrsa, shall we? Yes, let's go home. Epilogue, Song of the She-Bear.
It's only been 3 months. When this sleepy town gets so crowded. I suppose I should have asked where they lived first. You there, boy. Oh, my name's not Boy, old lady. Then I shan't call you that if you don't call me old lady. Where is the carpenter in the doctor's house? No, we don't got a house like that. You dumbo, she means the teachers we're skipping out on. Oh. Well then, let's make a deal. If you direct me to their home when I find them, I shan't tell them you two are here. Bye then, teacher. He'll get you some fruit when our tree gets him.
Thank you. Do stay safe on your way back. The boisterous sounds of children vanished into the distance. I came up to Yrsa, brushing sawdust off my hands. Reading lessons go well? Yes, they are very bright young minds. They surprise me each time with insight. I do not know if I am teaching them or they are teaching me how differently humans can think. It's always both. I'm glad you're enjoying the work. Oh, Yrsa, and your crafting lessons. How have your pupils been? Overeager, not so careful, but could be worse. I hadn't thought I'd ever have pupils to teach. My parents had taught me as much as they could. I'd wanted to honor their memory and do the same. But as I'd grown older alone, I'd resigned myself to never being able to pass on those skills to any child of my own. These were not my children. Yrsa and I would not be able to have any, but I was content with that. Because we were together, and any child in need in Silvervale now could come to us to learn or be helped. I'd gained so many unexpected pupils in the last 2 months, and seeing Yrsa's joy at them was wonderful. Yrsa, you are staring at me. Sorry, just thinking. I couldn't help but reach out to stroke Yrsa's hair, and his blush deepened, as did his smile. Being able to simply touch him like this was also wonderful. Been 2 months since we started watching kids, almost 3 since that vein was discovered. Yes, time really has passed so quickly. I could not have imagined it. I wonder if...
Hi, you two.
Ah. Speak of the Olane. Please, try a biscuit. Yrsa has been a master hand at them. I'll get the tea. I'm just learning. You've made much better ones.
Well, now I just feel like I'm interrupting. Bit warm in here, too. Wonder if it's the hearth or you two that have birds.
It's nearly winter. It cannot be that.
But anyway, I'm glad. Looks like you made yourself something pretty special here. Teaching the village kids how to read and build, watching the little ones. This is the nicest school I've ever been in, I'll tell you that.
It's thanks to you, actually.
Oh, pish. No, I just did the introductions for you two. Don't write yourself off.
I meant what happened with this village and the mines. Elaine had left soon after we drove off the daemon. So she'd missed the cleanup for her traps and the discovery of a massive vein of silver unearthed by a blast. Former miners and young men had soon flooded back to Silvervale, summoned by letters from their families or the allure of silver. Since everyone was suddenly busy trying to manage the mines or newfound trade opportunities, Yrsa and I had offered to help watch the village children. Eventually, we decided to turn it into an official of sorts school.
That's so, huh. Didn't realize I could have hired myself out as a mine excavator.
If you ever tire of the wandering life, there are many here who might have work.
Ha, that's chic. Well, that's right. I did wander on back here to tell you about something. I trust you've heard the news, too, about Reed Home.
That's right. Helene had promised to come back and tell us. We had heard some of it in gossip from travelers and merchants. The mayor ousted, stricter laws, fines to be paid. And how exactly did all of that happen? Yrsa returned. Does Yrsa know how to read? I'm assuming so, because he's teaching them how. But it was never established that he could. Maybe he didn't know before, but she taught him how? I don't remember. I feel like it was established at some point whether he could or couldn't. Yrsa returned, setting 3 cups of steaming tea before all of us. The fragrance of chamomile rose as Elaine sat back, recollecting.
Well, simply put, Reed Home's mayor was an imbecile and a coward who was too greedy for his own good. Perfect combination for trouble.
I'll adopt that headcanon, yes. Anything that's cute. The cuter it is, the more adorable it is, the better headcanon it is. Them's the rules.
That diamond bait vial you had, I took it back to Reed Home and started asking some questions. Turns out there was a legitimate order for diamond bait from the Reed Home guard, but not all the vials made it to the guards. A few ended up with the mayor, and then they ended up with some bandits. And then those bandits started leaving diamond-baited rotten meat all over under his orders.
Those men we met, they had been hired by the mayor of Reedhome?
Yep, sounds like the man wanted to fill up his own coffers. And he figured extracting some more tax from the nearby villages, Brookhaven and that other one, was the best way to do it.
But why would setting Diamond on them? He wanted them to beg Reedhome for assistance, and then Reedhome would demand tax money in return.
That's what he thought, but he was an imbecile. Those villages were more than strong enough to handle their own diamond problems. They even started wondering about why Reedhome was unscathed, so he had to set Diamond on his own damn town to take the suspicion off.
The Diamond that I'd fought at Reedhome, and the guards' open demeanor, so they hadn't been involved after all.
Anyway, long story short, his plan wasn't working, so he decided to go after Silvervale as an example. That's why that entire trail of bait happened, and took a whole pack of diamond to this village.
I suppose I understand. We were weak and poor, extorting us wouldn't have any meaning. But if an entire village were raised by Diamond, the rest would be scared enough to go along and beg for help. That is horrible. He failed, we're still here, and he's not. The tea was a little bitter and very refreshing. Arabelle had learned how to brew it perfectly. Sipping it seemed to shake off a little the grimness that had seeped into our conversation, and looking at Arabelle's smile did the rest. I reached over and took his hand. Though there's one other strange thing I heard.
Oh?
It sounds like folk from the capital, Lavin, also came to Reedhome. Men from the military and from the university, as I heard. Rumor was they helped discover the mayor's plot, but Laven's full of grand people. It cares nothing for small towns like ours. Why would they come now?
Beats me. Probably someone high and mighty got spooked by all the diamond.
Elaine was looking shifty again. Fine. That reminds me. I should learn more about this land as well. Laven is another human city.
Yup, the capital of Ellis. And it's biggest. Grand, too. More people in a single street than you've ever seen here. Shame you two are so busy. I'd take you to see the sights if I could. Maybe someday, eh?
That would be wonderful. It sounds amazing. You have been there?
Yup, I'm on my way back now, actually. So unfortunately I can't stay for too long. Best to get on the road again before it's too late.
Already? Surely you can't stay at least one night. We could show you the sights of Silvervale. You are, after all, our benefactor. It would only be fitting.
Oh, go on now. How about this? You two wed yet?
Wed? Well, we've already... She means married. In human terms, sworn as a pair before all, not the other things. No, not yet. We've been busy.
Well, if you invite me to the nuptials, I'll stay and see all the sights you want. Deal?
Of course. We should have remembered earlier. I saw my chance. Where should we send the invitations? We don't have a date yet, so we'll need to know where to send a letter to you once we do. So a name, an address, or even a city wandering alchemist is not enough. I almost expected Elaine to wave things off again. But this time she only grinned, took out a piece of graphite and some paper, and began to write. She passed it to me shortly, and I shared it with Arabelle. Laven, that is the capital you mentioned. Fourth Alchemia Way, Ain Teller. Heh.
Well then, if that's all settled, then I should be on my way. Thank you for the tea, Arabelle, and Yrsa, girl, you've done well. With the biscuits, too.
Waving, Elaine disappeared down the hill with a full pack of biscuits that Arabelle had thoughtfully prepared. We waved back and watched her go together, and with Arabelle leaning against my shoulder, I wondered. The guidebook of Isham Elaine had just happened to have, and the summoning she'd done so easily. Why on earth had someone like that wanted to help us? And how exactly had I met Arabelle in the first place? I'd wanted to summon an Earth Isham. That had seemed like nearly a lifetime ago and a very different me, but how? Yrsa, you must not look so worried. I'm sure we will see her again. It's not that. You're right, we will. But I wondered something else. When we met, when Elaine helped us meet, you told me you heard my voice. It was a blessing I did not deserve, but I was foolish and stubborn then, so I did not understand. How did you find me? Oh, Yrsa, you were nothing of the sort. Your voice was honest and determined. You wished to stand on your own, but I believe what I heard was you also wished for another to stand at your side. It was that obvious? Back then I had tried to quash all of my hopes of ever being loved and throw myself solely into working for the village. It was a little humbling to realize I had failed so utterly. It was no bad thing. Your wish was so clear that it was unmistakable. Because that is also what have also always wanted. I have lived for millennia among my people, solitary in a sea of joined minds, feeling alone and not understanding why. Your voice gave me solid ground to stand upon. Your desire and yourself guided me to you. And I have been so happy ever since. To understand at last what it means to stand by another and love them. Ah. That's my line, Arabelle. I love you. I'm glad you heard me. Oh, Yrsa. Thank you. Thank you for this life and all of it that we will share. I love you as well. And we went back to our home together. And then they fucked. An alchemia story. I knew it. I knew there had to be a wider story around the rest of this. What? Lynn, hearty congratulations on your second birthday. This is both your annual letter and an apology for missing the party because of my trip. I've enclosed a wooden souvenir that you might like. It's from a town called Silvervale, made by a fine craftswoman and her Isham husband, who I was overjoyed to see wed at last. Weddings are always joyful occasions, but when two people have faced such challenges, it is all the sweeter to know that they could overcome them. And it gives me hope that Isham will ultimately find a place in this world, especially in the hearts of those who care for them. When you're older, I'd like to take you traveling with me. Like this trip of mine, there are so many different lives and stories to see out in the world beyond the walls of Laven. Learning about them and understanding them will help you become a good man, an alchemist who truly makes the world a better place for humans and Isham alike. I also hope by the time you're old enough to read this, you'll have forgiven Ama Ain for not coming to your party one year. Your mother might not have, though. With sincere love, Ama Ain. Ain Talarian. Art Sigil Alchemia. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that real quick. You guys probably won't be able to see it, but Art Sigil Alchemia. Does it already have a nope, release expected release is next year. Takes place 25 years after this game. Main character looks like a pretty cute girl named Risu, who was in that last credit scene. I'll try and make it so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Let's see, what button is it? It should be that one. There we are. Right here. And the person who is directly relevant to that gives me the lay is this character right here, is who that letter from Olaine was at the end, written to him on his second birthday. And he is now 27. So it's been so this game takes place 25 years after Ursa Major. Oh, look, we get a fire Isham and friend in this game. I like It looks interesting. I like the character designs too. Risu is really fucking cute. Normally, I'm not into like the tomboyish girls. Okay, that's a fucking lie. That's just patently untrue. But this character is super cute. Frey must be a baddie. He looks mad. So yeah. Maybe just tsundere. Maybe. This guy looks like a bad guy too. I think it's just Risu and Lin and Eggsy. That's what we're gonna call him. Because it specifically says in his profile that he doesn't like being called that. So yeah, everybody go follow this. And that's all I've got in me for tonight, I think. You can tell I went a little. I wasn't joking when I said I downloaded all of them. We'll come back with something with some more of maybe these, and maybe something different. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow. What's today? What's today? Today's Thursday. We'll see when I feel like streaming again. Hopefully, I have my new computer back to me sometime next week, and then we won't have to worry about it no more. And we can play whatever the hell we want, and then I might actually like enjoy streaming because I won't be constantly upset by the fact that I'm using this little piece of shit that barely runs. Is the fourth Monday of the week. It is the fourth Monday of the week. Let's take a look and see who is currently live. I know Chase is, but I also know Chase is playing Genshin. And I really feel like we shouldn't reward that behavior. Let's be real. I suppose we will raid Chase. She probably doesn't deserve it. But so thank you all for coming. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you, Cryos Hand Retro, for hanging out with us for the night, as well as all the lurkers who hung out and enjoyed the show. I had fun. It was a good time. And with that, good night, viewers. Good night.